Good morning, guys. This is week 7, and this is the last push. We have week 7 and week 8. Pretty much we have 2 huge assignments left. One is your research paper. This week we're going to be finishing up the outline, turning in your draft, working on correcting the draft, finishing that paper, and then we have the final exam, which is proctored. Okay, so let's start with the final exam. It is a test on the book, the novel Misery. Okay, you've had all semester to read it, so now you're going to take a test on it. The only thing I'll tell you about the test is it's 50 questions, multiple choice, and then there are 5 discussion type questions where I give you a subject and I ask you a couple of questions and you're to answer it in paragraph form. Each one of those needs to be about 100 words to answer it, and really you're writing like a little mini essay there, I guess you could say, but not all together. It's just the word count. So make sure you've read the book. Anything that we've talked about in the class is fair game. Anything you've learned from the film, from the any of our work with the film devices, that kind of stuff, anything like that that helps you answer some of those questions, use it. But you do need to make sure that most of these questions are only based on the book. So I'm just saying that in the essay questions, you could say, the book says this, but in the film, I'm okay with that. But your multiple choice questions are going to be book-based answers, not film-based questions. Okay, so the only thing left to talk about final exam is that you need to take it. It needs to be proctored. You need to make your assignment. Yesterday I went through, and I think out of 18 of you, 6 of you had not made an appointment yet, so make sure you're doing that. It's hard to get an appointment sometimes, especially if you waited to this point in the semester to make a final exam proctored appointment. I would call if you're having trouble and say, hey, do you have any cancellations? And I'd call every day if you're having trouble making an appointment. Make sure, because I can't do anything about that if you're not able to get in. I can be sympathetic, but I can't wave a magic wand. So make sure you're in there, making sure you know those appointments, make them, and then go to them if you actually schedule an appointment, because the last day that this exam ends is our last day of class. So it's not like I can open it up that Saturday. Our class is done, Canvas goes away. So that's really, really important. It's 15% of your total grade, so you need to make sure that you have an appointment, you make it, and that you've read the book. All right, so let's talk about what other stuff's going on this week. I did extend the research paper outline. It's a huge outline. It covers the entire essay. The whole point here is not to torture you, but to help you realize if you do the hard work now, your draft and your actual research paper are not going to be that bad. It's exhaustive, and it talks about everything you're supposed to discuss in the book, or in your paper, okay? Let's see, excuse me. Okay, so you have until tonight to get me that outline. Okay, I noticed I have 10, so there's 8 of you that haven't quite completed that, so you do have all day today until 11:59 tonight to get that into me. All right, so after you do that, you'll need to work on the draft. Now this week we have some kind of funky deadlines, simply because I'm trying to give you enough time to do each assignment. The draft is going to be due Thursday night at 11:59. So hopefully you've turned in your outline, you're ready to go, and you have plenty of time. Now the draft is a little different in that you'll do your intro paragraph, which you can find each one of that. You use a template and use your outline, of course. And then you're going to do the first body paragraph, which is one characteristic, one scene, and then you're going to talk about actions and behavior of Annie and how she exhibits that characteristic. Then you will also do another body paragraph, your second body paragraph, which is the same scene, same characteristic of borderline personality disorder, and where you talk about the scene's film devices and how it shows her mood swings or how it shows her explosive anger. So if you do intro, first body, second body, everything else in the essay is pretty much rinse and repeat. You're just doing a second, third, fourth characteristic with your with your scenes, where you talk about actions and words, and the next one following it is film devices. Okay, so if I find problems and try to ease those and correct those, you should be good for the rest of the paper as long as you're following the corrections I've made. Okay, so you need to turn this in on a Thursday because I will be in my office on Friday and I'll be able to download those and give you those corrections on Friday. Your final copy is due Tuesday of next week. Okay, Tuesday by 11:59. I need time to grade them before our class ends on Friday. So as you turn in your draft, keep working. Okay, don't wait until Friday morning to decide, well, I'm going to finish it all now. Okay, go ahead and keep working. Get that draft in as soon as you've got to work this week. It's a big push. It's a lot, but it's our last 2 weeks. So it's a big one. Right? So don't give up the fight. One thing about the draft, if you don't turn one in, if I never see a draft from you, I will not grade your final. I have to have a draft of this, okay? And I don't see why you wouldn't. It's free comments from your teacher who is giving you, hey, here's a comma splice, don't do that. I'm saving you points, okay? So make sure that you're getting those in. But if you don't, I won't even mess with your final. I have to have it, okay? All right. The other assignment that we will talk about this week is I would like for you to copy and paste the paragraph in your paper or the 2 paragraphs where you insert a film review quote. Remember, we have those 2 film reviews, and I gave you 2 as examples, the Canby article and the Roger Ebert article. They're film reviews on Misery. And what I would do is I chose 2 that had something about Annie in them. So you can put them in your intro, you can put them in a body paragraph, you can put them in your conclusion. The only thing you don't want to do is start off a paragraph with a quote or end with a quote. You always want to begin and end a paragraph with your own words. You also don't want to stack quotes. In other words, you don't want to say according to and have a quote and then go also according to. You need to have your own words in between those quotes. Could be just one sentence in between quotes, but it needs to have some separation. You don't want to just stack quotes together. You have to kind of explain them. Why did you put them in there? So anyway, I just would kind of like to check those for corrections, like in the way you've quoted them, just to make sure they're right. So I'm pretty much looking at as many quotes as I can from your paper, because that's where a lot of your points will come from. So if you'll do that for me, all you do is just copy it and then paste it into the assignment, or just copy, paste it into a Word file, just the paragraph, and send it to me. Okay, that way I can kind of look quickly and make sure that you're quoting correctly. You can send me 1 paragraph, or there's going to be 1 quote from each article, so a total of 2 quotes, and you can send that to me. You can send both of them if you want in that 1 assignment. All right, so here's a couple of things that we have. One in your modules is the works cited page. Now, I've done it for you. What you have is the book. You have the film Misery. You have the 2 borderline personality disorder articles. You have the writing about movies textbook that we didn't use, but I have you all the handouts given to you there. Then the 2 film reviews, and I believe that's it. So it's already done for you, and you can see it. It's right here. The only changes that you would need to make is if you did not use the Canby or the Ebert articles. In other words, if you decided to use another film review, which you totally could, as long as I would send it by me, make sure it's okay, like it's not from Vogue or something. But if you use something else, maybe send that info to me and I'll help you with that works cited. Now, what's really important is you better take this, copy it, and paste it into your last separate page of your essay. You don't turn this in, your paper is plagiarized. It's a 0. You have to have this in there. So this is super important. In your draft, I might go ahead and put it in there so I would have it. Okay. All right, so that's the first thing. Nothing to do there. You just need to make sure you add it to your paper. Here's a couple of things. Some people have issues with the conclusion paragraph. So here's some things to do or say or talk about in your conclusion paragraph. And then this is a student example using Alice in Wonderland. Kind of the same thing, mental illness, because if you've seen that, Alice has a lot of problems. But this just helps you with the conclusion. All right. Here is quoting how-to help. This kind of goes through, I have a little short video in there, and I kind of go through and tell you how to quote, how to do the intro, how to do your quoting, where to put the punctuation. Really, really important, because those little points can add up. So I would definitely go through and look at that. Here's a template for your research paper. Oops, I just went to the quoting how-to. Don't want to do that. All right. Anyway, that's what it looks like. So here's your, never mind, this one. Here's your template, okay? So this goes through, and look, this first part, your intro, is really your outline. It's just putting it in paragraph form, and then it goes through and shows you how to do everything here. There's your first body paragraph, goes through, tells you how to do stuff. The third or the second body paragraph is one you might need help with. The film devices and techniques in the scene where, it's the same scene that you did up here. Don't name them. Say things like, in the scene where Annie spills soup on Paul. Help to further emphasize explosive anger. Okay, that's your characteristic that you talked about up here. Okay, one film device in the scene is, let's say, a close-up shot. I would put that. Then right here is where you're going to define that. Now, we talked about close-up shots. There's several different terms that you would need to, if they're in here, in that handout I gave you, you need to make sure that you quote them, okay? So this is the author right here, according to Gossick et al., which means everybody else that contributed to the textbook. And then you just quote the definition from film textbook handout. And I'll show you how to do that in the draft. My draft is on another computer, and so this afternoon I will take it and put it in here, and I'll let you know when I do that. Then explain how the device is used in the scene to portray the characteristic, and then another film device used is. Now, when you define a close-up shot in here, if you talk about a close-up in any other scene on down in your paper, you don't need to repeat that definition. It's been defined once, so we're good. All right, I'm going to go back to week 7 because I don't remember what all else is in here. All right, and you need to make sure to go through modules because there's a ton of stuff in here, and if you ever need something, this is where it's going to be. But always start with that week overview because that's where I'm getting a lot of this stuff to help you. All right, let's see. Okay. There's the conclusion paragraph things. And your template, and you want to use that to start working. Here's where you would turn in your research draft. Remember, 3 paragraphs are going to be turned in. And then here is a research paper draft example right here. And I will go through that separately for you at another point because I'm running out of time with how many minutes I can talk to you. But here's the example. And then your last assignment this week is to copy paste the paragraphs from your paper that includes the film review articles and submit here. And I'm requiring you to do this so I can simply check the quoting. So that's that example, okay? So draft by Thursday night. Send me a file of this, and you can send me your whole paper if you want to, and highlight the paragraph that has the film review quote, okay? Just so I know, and it's easy for me to quickly go through that and check that for you. All right, any questions you may have, please feel free to contact me. Let me know what your issues are. All right, have a great week.